The effects of pollution on saltwater ecosystems. The ocean covers more than 70% of the surface of the planet. The ocean offers so many things that we rely on. It ranges from food to shipping and even as a source of joy for many. The ocean has just been water in our minds, but as I will explain, it offers so much more of a role in our lives, and if we do not try to clean it or stop polluting the ocean, it will not be such a huge resource for us. The ocean consists of ecosystems. In those ecosystems, there are non-living and living components. These components help the ocean be so resourceful to us, while we are just damaging them and even killing them. There are many ways that the ecosystem could be destroyed. These range from oil, chemicals, or even a human activity. Starting off with the pollution aspect, oil is a very large contaminant that can damage the ecosystem above and below the water. Many of this oil comes from spills by ships and oil rigs. The discharge from consumption of oils, which is the discharge from ships, is around 37%. Accidental oil spills from ships are 12%, and extracting oil from below is 3%. The oil is less dense than the water, so this oil will float on the top, and many times it is pushed into the shores by the current. Once the oil is in the water, it is super hard to get rid of and also sticks to everything and acts like a blanket on top of the water. One example of this are mangroves, and these are shrubs, trees that grow on the shorelines of the coast. Their roots are buried in the mud and sand. A mangrove is able to survive on how the roots are able to get oxygen underwater, but with an oil slick covering the surface, no oxygen is able to be transferred. This can lead to suffocation without oxygen, causing the mangrove to die. These mangroves take up to a year to grow back, but with the oil surrounding it, it may grow back deformed or not even grow back at all. Under the water, oil compounds can harm and kill sensitive organisms. Chemicals are also very harmful to ecosystems. Many of these chemicals come from farms, fields, and buildings. All of these toxic chemicals are picked up by runoff water, which then ends up going into these ecosystems. There are many ways to deter the chemicals before the ocean. These include vegetation buffers and holding ponds. These can greatly help the chemicals from not entering the ocean and destroying the ecosystems. Chemicals can affect coral reefs. They kill the algae living on the coral. Once this algae is dead, the coral becomes a bleach white. An estimated 20% of the global corals are threatened by exposure to toxic substances. It is very hard for coral to recover from this process. Most of all coral can't recover, and with no coral, it gives no environment to the organisms living on it. Many species use coral for food, shelter. It is like a city underwater. Once the coral dies, the organisms are forced to move away and cannot make the adjustments, so they end up dying as well. As humans, we are always moving and wanting more. This involves new activities, including boating, creating beaches, and all human construction in the water. A lot of people do not realize that we take a lot of the materials from the ocean to use, such as wood and limestone. These materials are taken from shorelines, which are home to many organisms, thus leaving no homes or cover from the elements. Another very destructive activity is dredging and construction. Many environments are destroyed from dredging. Dredging digs up the ocean floor, creating deeper waterways. During this, the noise pollution is at a high. It destroys habitats and disrupts the routine of these animals, forcing them somewhere else to try to survive. Humans are always trying to do more and make more. This involves expanding in the nice climates to the best places by the water. Many ecosystems are untouched by human activity, but once humans start invading it, it forces those living in the ecosystem to move. This causes the organisms to find a new location and desert their past and cause it to die, leaving one less location.